Right, it's 11:30. Thank you very much for coming to the session. My name is Graeme Codrington, and I assume you're at the right session so you know what you're here for. It's a look at the future. A look at the 5 most important trends that I believe are shaping the future, well, the immediate future of not only the events industry and conferencing and exhibitions and meetings and so on, but in fact all industries around the world. But hopefully in the next 45 minutes we'll take a whistle-stop tour through these 5 key trends and allow you to take away some questions. Obviously, I don't know each of your industries, your companies, and your particular focus points, but I hope that what I can do in the next 45 minutes is give you some very important questions that you can take back to your team, to your company, that will help you to think about how you could respond and take advantage of these trends that are shaping our world at the moment. I think it's absolutely important to start with understanding that the economic downturn that we've been experiencing over the last 2 years or so is not just a financial downturn. This economic downturn is in fact one of those tipping points in human history that when we come out of the other side of it, as we should do over the next 2 to 3 years, we'll look back and realize that a lot more changed. Or to put it another way, we're not going to arrive this time next year or this time 2 years from now, and we're not going to just suddenly discover that we've gone back to normal. A lot of the companies that I work with are desperately hoping that things are going to get back to normal quite soon. This is what I do for a living. I speak at conferences and away days, and things have changed dramatically. I've been doing this for 10 years. And for me, one of the key things that has changed is that lead times have changed dramatically. Companies that are booking conferences and meetings are no longer thinking a year in advance or 18 months in advance. It feels like sometimes are thinking 18 hours in advance. I'm getting phone calls of people saying, can you come and speak at our event next week? That's unheard of for me in the last 10 years. I would love it if we would get back to normal. If in a year's time I was knowing what I was doing a year in advance, I don't think it's going to happen. I really do think that in almost every industry, we will see that this recession has changed a lot more than just a little dip in your numbers and then getting back to normal. And as Peter Drucker, one of the world's leading business authorities, the late Peter Drucker now, was famous of saying, is that the greatest challenge during turbulence, and that's really where we find ourselves at the moment, is not the turbulence itself. It is that we fail to recognize the changes that are taking place and the fundamental shifts that are taking place in our industry. And so what I want to help you to do, just very briefly this morning, is to take a step back. We don't often take time out. We're busy, we're running around at an exhibition like this, we're moving from stall to stall, having a different conversation every other minute, and we don't often take time out from our jobs. All of us do jobs, we all know what we're doing, most of us are very good at what we're doing. In fact, some of us are so good at what we're doing, we can do it even half asleep. But every now and again, something happens that changes everything. There's a little bump, a little noise, which maybe indicates that our world is about to change. And then we notice it, and we need to do something about it. But sometimes there's just so much inertia in the system, we can't actually get things done. And unfortunately, sometimes we have to bail out of the whole scene. Hopefully you don't have to do that. What we're going to do today is just lift the horizon a touch and look at 5 key trends that I think are shaping our world right now. 5 trends that cannot be ignored, that will reshape this industry and all industries with it. In other words, it will reshape not only our industry, but also the industries of every one of our clients. We can get ahead of the game if we understand these 5 trends. So I realize it's a little bit corny, but I've given it an acronym, the tides of change. Totally corny, completely uncool, but hopefully will help you remember it. 5 trends, TIDES. The first is, I'm sure you wouldn't expect a prize for guessing that the T in this Tides of Change stands for technology. The previous session in the marketing hall next door was an absolute sellout, standing room only, and the topic was Twitter. How to use Twitter in your businesses. That's just one example of the type of technology that's got everybody buzzing at the moment. I don't want to give you those details. There's lots of other people who have styled themselves as experts on these social technologies. I want to help you understand the underlying forces that are driving this trend. Because if Twitter is a fad, we'll know about it in a few years' time, but there will be something after that and something after that again. What is it that's really driving these trends? I think there are 3 things. These 3 things you need to consider in your organizations. The first is that all of these technology trends, these social networks, social media, are being driven by this concept called user-generated content. Very simply, Web 1.0, the first version of the web, was that we all put websites up. Basically, we took our corporate brochures and we put them up into cyberspace where anybody could go and find them. Web 2.0 is when we are now expecting people to speak back to us. In other words, if your website is simply your corporate brochure, you haven't understood the new trend yet. If people wanted your brochure, they'd ask for it and you could send it to them. Websites now need to be interactive. People want to engage with you. They want to use your website to start a conversation with you, not just read about you. Why should they read about you from you? Why would they? Surely if they wanted to find out about you, they'd ask somebody else. And that's the point of Web 2.0. They get to ask 1,000 other people about you. And then maybe come and look at what you say about yourself. Let's be honest, we all know what's on our websites. It's not really the stuff that is going to make people make up their mind about you. You've got to put in case studies, links to clients, and the key is allowing people to connect with you. In 2006, Time magazine, I think quite ahead of their time, recognized this fact and said that the person of the year for 2006 was you, and they put a mirror on the front cover of the magazine. Basically in recognition of things like Wikipedia and blogs and so on, which have now taken off with Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and other social media sites. We have changed the way that we engage with people online, and it has happened almost in the blink of an eye. That's the real news behind Twitter. Twitter's not just another channel for you to talk at your clients. Twitter and Facebook and social media and even YouTube is a place for you to put out a piece of information and then engage in a conversation with your clients. This is not something that many industries are used to doing or even comfortable in doing. User-generated content is really what's driving the social networking and all of these other sites. So absolutely, get hooked in. Get yourself a Twitter feed, create a Facebook page, get onto LinkedIn, but ask yourself, what are you doing with those pages? Are you simply talking at people? If so, you've missed the point, or at least missed the boat. The second issue around technology is this issue of augmented reality. All of us today talk about IT, information technology, that IT, that 2 little letters that describe how the world has changed. I'd predict that in 3 to 4 years' time, everybody will be talking about AR in exactly the same way. Augmented reality is a big word which describes very simply the fact that every single thing in the world has data associated with it.